Hey, everybody, welcome back to I Know a Guy. I'm Anthony, and this is the podcast where connections thrive. Each episode, we spotlight inspiring entrepreneurs, professionals, and individuals doing amazing things. Together, we'll grow your circle, spark collaborations, and discover new opportunities. Today, we're meeting Heather Black, an event expert and detail wrangler with 25 years of experience helping mission driven entrepreneurs create strategic, profitable events. Combining Southern charm with Las Vegas energy, Heather's expertise transforms event chaos into coordinated brilliance, ensuring every event and every speaking engagement drives impact and income. How you doing today, Heather?
I'm doing awesome. Thanks for having me today.
No, excited to have you on. You're doing awesome things, and it things people often overlook or don't even think about, and they need to start. So there's some people out there that definitely need to get to know you. So starting off, where are you located? Where are you calling in from?
I am in Las Vegas, Nevada, but I am originally from South Carolina. I'm a Carolina girl at heart, and you can take the girl out of the East Coast, but you can't take the East Coast out of the girl. But I've been in Las Vegas for a little over 12 years.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, you're starting to get the feel of the area. If you have friends coming into town that have never been, you always have people coming into Vegas, but let's say they've never been. What are you doing for fun, and where are you guys going for dinner?
What we're doing for fun is we are going to Bellagio Conservatory, and I'm going to take them right around the corner of the Bellagio to this little unknown spot. A lot of people don't know that the world's largest chocolate fountain is right there in the Bellagio at the little French patisserie. So we're going to go check that out because who doesn't want to see gallons and gallons of chocolate pouring down from a fountain? And then for dinner, we're probably going to go to either Bobby Flay's Burger Shop, or we're going to go to Ramsey's Burger, or we're going to hit. There's a Mexican cantina right there in the shops of Planet Hollywood. We're going to go there.
Awesome. Yeah. Actually, that's one thing. Normally people are talking about stuff that I've never done, but the Ramsey's burger, I have had that before. Never saw the chocolate fountain. I'm afraid I'd end up like the kid in Willy Wonka going up the tube. So I
It's pretty
better
impressive.
I better stay away. No. Anyway, so okay, awesome. Well, what can you tell us about what you do?
So what I do is I support heart-centered, mission-driven entrepreneurs, small businesses, nonprofits, and I help them get really strategic, organized, and profitable with their events and speaking engagements. It's not just about having events and speaking engagements; it's having the right ones for your business, having the right ones for your audience, and making sure that they are organized so they don't feel chaotic. Because events and speaking engagements, there's a lot of details, and so you just need to make sure you stay on top of that. But it's also about making sure, this is one of the things that people sometimes forget to do, is looking at those numbers and making sure that what you're doing is driving revenue into your business in one way or another, whether you're getting paid for the event, or you're getting paid to speak, or you're making sales and bringing in clients. So that's what I help them do, is look at those kind of that tripod of success and help them get that foundation in place so that then they can go and really use that power of one to many to transform lives and impact their business.
Well, what got you? Is this something you've wanted to do since high school, or what's the story? How'd you get to here?
No, I actually had never even heard of meeting planning, event planning as a job. I graduated from the University of South Carolina with a degree in public relations, and I thought that I would become like a VP of PR for some big, Fortune 500 company was the big goal. And then I landed um, in a job doing public relations, but I shared an office with the meeting planner, and I was like, "What is this meeting planner job?" And when she left, they thought because we shared an office, I knew what she did. And so they're like, "Hey, can you fill in until we hire somebody?" I was like, "Oh, yeah, sure, I can do that." And had no idea what I was doing. And then I got married and moved and just kind of used that experience to get a job that did a little bit of all of it. And I loved the meeting planning part of it. I loved planning the conferences for my groups that I worked with, and really found my passion and my purpose. I'm really good at organizing all of those details and taking the big thing and chunking it down into pieces so that it's manageable. And so I've just kind of stayed for 25 years. And then about 2 years ago, I started my own business helping people do it because I wanted to help more people. I wanted to have some time and money freedom that comes from being your own boss as opposed to somebody else's employee.
Well, my next question is always, what do you love about what you do? And you kind of high leveled it there, but specifically, what is it about that you love?
What I love about what I do is really comes down to the power an event or a speaker has to really impact lives. And I've had speakers that I've heard that have changed my life for the positive, right? It's helped me become a better version of myself. I've been in events where we really formed a community and they became my friends, and they're still friends today. And it's just so powerful what an event can do to really change the world, because when you change one person's life, they go home and they become a better partner, they become a better employee, they're better in their community, they're a better parent, and those ripples just go out into the world because it impacts everybody in such a positive way. And so I love being able to have that sort of impact, help other people have that impact, right? And really tap into, there's nothing as powerful as one to many. You can have one-on-one coaching, you can do one-on-one sales, you can do one-on-one, or even small groups, right? But there's a limit. But when you get in a room with 300, 3,000, 30,000 people, that impact, it multiplies and it becomes exponential. And so I get really excited about the impact that you can have by using events and speaking for your business, not just for your income, but for your impact.
Okay. Yeah, no, I definitely get that. What about what about like your average client? What does that look like, or what are the pain points that somebody might be going through that if they're dealing with X, Y, or Z, you're the person that they should be talking to?
So a lot of my clients, when they come to me, they want to have an event, they want to do more speaking, but they don't know where to start. They've kind of tried, but it wasn't successful, and it really just came down to weren't looking in the right places, right? Like, okay, well, we really need to do this. They've tried to do a retreat. A lot of times they've tried to do a retreat and it wasn't successful because they weren't quite ready. They didn't have the audience to fill it, and so it cost them a lot of money. And a lot of times they just don't know where to start. Like, I don't even know where I would begin to start planning this event, or where would I start looking for speaking engagements. And so I can really help them get really strategic about what they're doing based on where they are in their business. And then we can look at where they want to be. Like, do you want to have a 7-day international retreat? Do you want to be on that stage with, 30,000 people in the room? How are we going to get there, and build that plan for them to get there, what they need to do today, tomorrow, next week, next month, and next year to really achieve those big goals for their business. Because if you don't have a plan, then you're just wandering around. And if you go on Google and be like, how do I find speaking engagements? How do I plan an event? You're going to end up in overwhelm about 3 clicks. And in 4 clicks, you're going to have conflicting information. So what I want to do is eliminate the overwhelm, eliminate the mistakes. Don't figure it out for yourself. Talk to an expert. Let's get you set up for success right from the get-go.
What about your average power partner? What does that look like? Or what are other professionals or, other industries that you synergize really well with, or you find a lot of collaborations and referrals working with?
I find a lot of synergy and collaborations with business coaches and speaker coaches, those coaches that are already working with my ideal client. They're helping them get, streamline their businesses, put in systems and processes. They're helping them grow their business in a way. They're helping them with their stage presence, develop their message, understand, how to use their body language to convey their message and those kind of things. But they're not necessarily helping them find the stages. They're not necessarily telling them how to have the events. They're just saying, okay, you're ready to go do speaking. You should start having your own events. And then the person's like, okay, how do I do that? And so the business goes, oh, good luck, and because that's not their area of expertise. And a lot of times they don't want to get into that strategy. They really want to focus on the creative part of it. And so then I can collaborate with them, and then they send their clients to me, and then I help them get set up for success. So those are my best power partners.
Okay. And then, being an entrepreneur yourself and working with them every day, what advice would you give to a new or aspiring entrepreneur?
So the best advice I can give is advice that I wish somebody had given me, right? And I wish that I hadn't waited as long as I did to start networking. Don't wait until you have all the pieces figured out. Don't wait till you have the perfect elevator pitch. It's going to change and transform over time as you learn more about what you're doing. Start before you hang the shingle up, right? Get out there, start networking, because it's just going to take time for you to build an audience and for people to learn who you are and be like, oh, I'm going to send referrals to this person because I'm going to have them on my podcast. That will take a year and a half to build that framework. So start sooner rather than later.
No, that's fantastic advice. I don't care what you're doing. You could have a job, you can be in school, network now
Yep.
for a lot of reasons. You're going to have that network when you need it, but also it's going to allow you to figure out what you want to do because you're going to be exposed to things you don't know. Right. So meeting people, finding out what they do, learning from them, surrounding yourself with people that are going to help you get to where you want to go is huge regardless. It's never too, the saying, what's the saying? The best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago. The second best
That's
time is today, right?
it's
So
today.
if you haven't yet, do it now, right? Go do that.
Yeah.
So that's
Uh,
that's
and
fantastic advice.
Well, and it takes a minute to find what rooms you're even supposed to be in, right?
Mhm.
Like you're going to put your head in certain rooms and that's not going to be the room for you. But the beautiful thing about it is if you go into it with the idea of I'm not here to find clients, I'm here to serve, I'm here to provide value and see who I can meet. The number of phenomenal, amazing people that I have met in networking that will probably never be a client or I will never work with them, but they're still a cheerleader, right? They're still
Mhm.
following along and they're sending people my way. That's priceless. That
Yeah,
is just priceless. So start now, start when you're 18, whatever, get going, meet the people, build a network, build a community, and that's how you're going to change your life and other people's lives.
absolutely. Can't agree more. Fantastic. So, how can entrepreneurs use events and speaking engagements to grow their business?
So the best way to use events and speaking, and there's no formula like you should be doing this event, right? It varies by business, but the key component is that you are sharing your knowledge and you are educating people about who you are and what you do. And so when you have an event yourself, when you create that stage for yourself, what happens is everybody in that room has already said, I'm interested in what you're doing, so tell me more, right? And so you're able to educate them, grow your email list, grow the people that you have in your network, and you can start cultivating those relationships. And those relationships will become clients, they'll become referrals. And speaking is the same thing, right? You're going to get on that stage in a room of 10, 15, 30, 100, whatever it is. And those people are already there because they're already interested. And so it's going to grow your base much faster than posting on social media, even the networking where you're going to meet 5 or 6 people. But if you can meet 100 people in 30 minutes, right? So it really exponentially grows your audience much, much faster because you can really hone in on who you need to be talking to and who's interested in your services.
Absolutely. It's simple numbers. If you have 5 one-on-ones a day, that's 5 people. You take that times a week, take the times a year. Great. If you have one event a month where you're talking to 100 people at a time, 1,000 people at a time, one of those is bigger than the other, right? So,
Right, exactly.
way more time efficient. So, absolutely do both. Obviously, you want to have your one-on-ones, but also, do the thing. So, no, that's awesome. How can strategic event planning prevent costly mistakes and maximize profitability?
So strategic event planning really avoids costly mistakes because a lot of times what happens is people just go too big too soon, or they don't really have an idea of how long they need to plan an event. So when you get strategic about planning it out and you're planning a year, 18 months, 2 years in advance, you're able to really break down a couple of things. And first of all is the amount of work that you're going to have to do in a short window, right? So the amount of work you have to do to pull off a successful event is the same, whether you have 3 months to do it or you have 12 months to do it. Which would you rather spread it out over, right? It also allows you the opportunity to market it for longer, to have more break down the pricing, right? So people can make payment plans for longer periods of time as opposed to, oh, I have to pay $2,000 to come to this event that's in 3 months. I don't have that. But if you break that down over the course of 6 months, 9 months, right now it becomes affordable. And so you really want to be strategic and not get yourself in a position where you just don't have enough runway to get the plane off the ground.
Mhm.
So, and then profitability, the more people that can afford to come to your event because they have longer to pay for it, the longer you have to bring revenue in and to pay those expenses that are going to have to go out, then the more people you can impact and the more money you can make.
That makes so much sense. It's not something I've ever put more than just like a overview level thought on, and you're absolutely right. I like that. That's awesome. You don't know what you don't know. You learn something every day from somebody, so I appreciate that. How can businesses turn chaotic event planning into a streamlined, successful experience?
The best way to turn chaotic event planning into successful events is first and foremost to give yourself the proper timeline to make sure that you have time to plan the event and do the work that's going to be required. But you also need to, I do this exercise before every event where I just kind of, it's almost like a brain dump. Everything that needs to be done for this event, write it down. Everything that you want to have happen, write it down. Because that's how we're going to build a checklist and know exactly what we need to do and when we need to do it. If you want a band and you want a silent auction and you want, I'm just coming up with things off the top of my head of things that you might have in an event, right? But these are all things that are going to have steps to make that happen. So what you want to do then is take that, okay, so I want to have a band. Well, I need to call some bands and book them, right? I need to sign a contract. I need to pay a deposit. I need to, right? There's a whole process that goes into breaking each of those things you want down into what you need to do to make it happen. And so then we can create a list of tasks essentially to make sure that you stay on track and you don't get 2-3 months before and be like, oh, I need a venue for this. Like, like not that that's ever happened, but right, you could get on site and be like, well, I needed a sign. Well, did you order it? No. Right. There's those little things that you just don't think about that go into putting it together. And the best way to transform chaos and overwhelm into clear, organized methods is to have a very clear picture of what you want and what you need to do to create that.
Absolutely. So there's a menu of options out there. It doesn't matter what niche you're in or what you're doing. A million other people do it. So why you?
First and foremost, I attract a certain type of people. I'm a little quirky, and I'm a lot of fun to work with. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of people that will plan an event for you. There's a lot of people that will pay. You can pay them to plan your event, and do the thing. But I'm going to really help you identify what you need to be doing today and where you need to go in with your events and speaking in the future, and get really clear on what that strategy looks like and how to organize it. I'm going to give you the systems you need to just replicate what I'm going to teach you to do over and over so that it can grow exponentially. And we're not going to forget about the profit piece, which I think a lot of times gets overlooked in the world of events and speaking, is where's the money coming from? Because not every event is you're going to have free events, right? It's free for them to come and get to know you, but there still should be revenue coming into your business from that. And we're going to look at what that should look like and what your key performance indicators are for those free events to make sure that they're profitable. And quite frankly, I'm just fun to work with. And my assistant is a sloth. So come on now.
That goes a long way. There's something about, being authentic. Quirky is authentic, right? People like that. So absolutely. I love that answer. So awesome. Is there anything that I missed or failed to ask that you wanted to add?
Yeah, I would just encourage any business owner, whether you're a solopreneur, you're a small business, a brick and mortar, or you have, already have 50, 100, 500 employees. If you are not using events and speaking, think about it. Think about how you could use it. It doesn't have to be an education event. It doesn't have to be a conference. There are so many fabulous events out there that you can have. We can get the limitation really is your imagination and your budget. Those are the only limitations when it comes to events. And so I'd really encourage you to think about what you're doing with events and speaking in your business, how you can leverage that to really bring in more income and impact to your business.
For the people that really like the idea of one to many, how can they find you? Where can they get a hold of you?
So I'm on all the social media things. I'm on Facebook, Heather D. Black. I'm on LinkedIn, Heather D. Black. I'm on Instagram at Phoenix Collaborations. And I'm on YouTube now. I've started doing videos on YouTube. It's still very early. I don't have many up, but there are more every week, at Ignite Your Income. And then my website at phoenixcollaborations.com.
Awesome. No, I'm gonna put all that in the show notes too. It's super easy to find. You're doing awesome things, and you're everything you said is 100% accurate, right? You should be talking to groups of people, not just individuals. It's exponential how much more reach you can have, because if you talk to one person who talks to one person, that's slow, right? We're in a
Yep.
world now where it's like, talk to as many people as you can, be authentic, let them see who you are, tell your story, tell how you can help, answer the how and whys and all of this stuff, and reach as far as you can. There's so many people out there. It's such an abundant world that we live in. Talk to everybody. So I love that. You're doing amazing things. Like I said, I'm gonna put all that out there, so everybody absolutely have a conversation with Heather. You're gonna walk away better off than when you went in. So other than that, if anybody would like to get a hold of me, you can find me at ikag.me. You can find more episodes, subscribe to our newsletter, and connect with our growing community of awesome people like Heather. If you or somebody would like to be interviewed, you can also apply on the website. But Heather, again, thank you so much for your time. You're doing great things. I'm looking forward to watching this go. Seeing more and more people that you're helping, more and more reach, because it's going to be big. More and more people are waking up to the idea of, I'd rather talk to 100 people today than 10, right? I'd rather talk to
Absolutely.
1,000 than 20. So let's go down that road. Let's have an awesome day and grow our circle. All right.
Thanks so much, Anthony.